The next few days are going to be intense for Rangers. We've got Ross County tomorrow and then the big match against the Green Winers on the 1st. But in the meantime, what we really want are some good player signings. Here are today's headlines for you. According to Fabrizio Romano, Rangers have made a £6 million bid for a spectacular prodigy who had agreed to a Barcelona transfer. Rangers, to pay a large portion of Matondo's wages as a billionaire-owned club, prepares a loan move. Iasis Haji's Rangers transfer exit chase heats up as a second club declares interest. Rangers consider a bargain £2 million deal for an outstanding attacker after submitting a transfer request. Rangers to miss out on millions as Cyril Desires makes a last-minute transfer decision. Remember to stay until the end so you don't miss any details, and hit that like button to help us bring these updates just for you, my fellow Rangers fan. It's free and keeps you well informed every day. Let's dig into this latest bit of transfer drama involving Rangers, shall we? It's been a bit of a quiet summer on the transfer front, hasn't it? Since the arrivals of Václav Cerny and Robin Proper, we've been left twiddling our thumbs, waiting for something big to happen. And just when we thought all hope was lost, Fabrizio Romano drops a bombshell. Rangers have made a move for Almeria's young prodigy, Hagi. Now, here's the scoop. Rangers put in a loan-to-buy bid for Hagi, who, let me remind you, was once on the verge of joining Barcelona. We're talking about a 20-year-old center-half who's been turning heads since his days at Santos. The offer on the table was a £500,000 loan fee with a potential permanent transfer fee of £6 million, plus a 30% sell-on clause. But here's the kicker. Almeria turned it down. So why the rejection? Well, it's not entirely clear whether Rangers' offer included an option or an obligation to buy. If it was just an option, you can see why Almeria might not be too keen. They probably figured that getting that £6 million out of Rangers could depend on a lot of factors, like us winning the Premiership or making it into the Champions League group stage. Given our well-publicized financial constraints this summer, Almeria likely saw the risk and decided to pass. But let's talk about Hagi himself. This lad is exactly the type of player Philippe Clement has been talking about. Young, talented, and with the potential to not just make an impact now, but also to be sold on for a tidy profit in the future. Clement's been clear that Rangers need to get smarter in the transfer market, and Hagi fits that bill perfectly. He's got all the attributes we need, and it's obvious that Clement has a bit more money to play with than we first thought. So while this bid didn't go through, it's a sign that Rangers aren't just sitting back and waiting for the transfer window to close. We're still in the game. And who knows? Maybe there's still time for a few surprises before the deadline. Let's have a chat about the Rabbi Matondo situation, shall we? It looks like Rangers are in a bit of a bind with the winger and Blackburn Rovers are circling. According to the Daily Record, the most likely outcome for Matondo this summer is a loan move to Blackburn. But there's a catch. Rangers will have to cover a hefty chunk of his wages. Now here's the deal. Blackburn, owned by the billionaire VH Group, are more than capable of paying Matondo's full salary. But they're clearly taking advantage of Rangers' desperate situation. We had hoped to offload Matondo on a permanent deal, which would have freed up some cash and allowed us to reinvest in the squad. But with the clock ticking down to the $30 August deadline and no other offers on the table, Philippe Clement might have no choice but to sanction this loan move. Matondo's time at Rangers hasn't exactly set the world on fire. Since joining from Schalke in 2022, he's managed just 6 goals and 4 assists. Hardly the kind of numbers we need to challenge Celtic. He's already slipped down the pecking order, with Ross McCausland and Václav Cerny ahead of him, and has only started once this season in a 2-0 win against St Johnstone in the Scottish League Cup. A move to the Championship could be just what Matondo needs to kickstart his career, but it's a bit of a bitter pill for Rangers to swallow, especially since we were hoping to sell him outright. With Leeds United having backed out, Blackburn seems to be the only option left, and with Clement keen to bring in new faces before the window closes, moving Matondo on, one way or another, is crucial. Let's dive into the latest on the Iasis Haji situation, shall we? The Romanian midfielder, who's been out of favor at Rangers since his return from a loan spell at Alaves, is attracting some serious interest as we approach the transfer deadline. First, we had Rapid Bucharest expressing their desire to bring Hagi back to his homeland. And now, another Romanian side, Universitatea Craiova, has thrown their hat into the ring. Hagi has been training and playing with the Rangers B team, clearly not in Philippe Clement's plans for the first team. With 2 years left on his contract, Rangers are looking to offload him to free up some space and potentially bring in new players before the transfer window closes on August 30th. The manager of Universitatea Craiova, Costel Galca, didn't mince his words when he name-dropped Hagi in a press conference, openly declaring the club's interest in signing him. This now sets up a bit of a bidding war between Craiova and Rapid Bucharest, both keen on securing the services of the 39-time Romania international. And it's not just Hagi who could be heading out the door at Rangers. Todd Cantwell, another player who's found himself on the fringes, has handed in a transfer request. He's been training away from the first team, and while there were links to a move to Saudi Arabia, nothing concrete has materialized yet. So with the clock ticking down to the deadline, it looks like things are heating up in the transfer market for Rangers. Hagi's future could be settled soon, and it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, whether it's back in Romania with Rapid or Craiova, or somewhere else entirely. Let's dive into this latest bit of transfer gossip involving Rangers and Norwich City. So here's the scoop. Rangers are reportedly keeping a close eye on Norwich City's young winger, Abu Kamara. With the transfer window closing fast, Philippe Clement is keen to strengthen the squad, particularly in the wide areas, but as usual, it's a bit of a balancing act. We've got to sell before we can buy. Kamara, who had a cracking season on loan at Portsmouth last year, bagging 10 goals and 11 assists in 52 appearances, is being touted as an affordable option for Rangers. Apparently, he could be available for as little as £2 million, which, in today's market, is a bit of a bargain for a player with his potential. But as with most things in football, there's a catch. Before any deal can happen, Rangers need to clear out some of the fringe players to free up funds. And it's not like there's a lack of interest in Kamara either. Clubs in the Championship are also sniffing around, so if Rangers are serious, they'll need to move quickly. The good news is that personal terms shouldn't be a problem, as Kamara has already expressed a desire to leave Norwich after struggling to break into the first team. Clement is juggling a few things right now, with Todd Cantwell handing in a transfer request and looking for a move, and Iasis Haji potentially heading back to Romania with Rapid Bucharest. There could be some room and cash freed up soon. If all these pieces fall into place, Kamara could be top of the list for Rangers. And from what we've heard, he's got plenty to offer. Portsmouth's assistant manager, John Harley, was full of praise for Kamara last season, calling his form outstanding. Harley reckons Kamara is a nightmare for fullbacks, capable of going inside or outside, and, crucially, delivering an end product. So, it's all shaping up to be an interesting end to the transfer window. If Clement can get the right players out the door, Kamara might just be the fresh talent we need to give Celtic a run for their money this season. Let's talk about the latest twist in the serial Dazer saga at Rangers. With just days left before the transfer window slams shut, the pressure's on for Philippe Clement and the Rangers board to make some key decisions. But it seems like they've hit a bit of a roadblock with Dezers, and it could end up costing the club quite a bit of cash. So here's the situation. Rangers have made it clear that they need to sell before they can buy, with Clement keen to bring in new faces before the deadline on 30th of August. While players like Todd Cantwell and Iasis Haji are on the potential exit list, Dezers has also attracted some attention, notably from MLS side Atlanta United. A deal worth around £4.6 million was reportedly on the table, but it fell through because Dezers couldn't agree on personal terms. Now here's where things get tricky. Dezers has been pretty vocal about being happy at Rangers and wanting to stay put. And while that loyalty is admirable, it's also a bit of a double-edged sword for Rangers. On one hand, keeping a player who's committed to the club is always a good thing. On the other, missing out on millions of pounds that could have been reinvested into the squad isn't ideal, especially when Clement is trying to rebuild. That £4.6 million might not seem like a massive sum, but in the context of Rangers' current situation, it could make a real difference. It could fund one or two key signings that might help push the team forward this season. But with Dezers seemingly settled in Glasgow, it looks like Rangers are stuck with him, at least for now. Of course, if Dezers starts banging in the goals regularly, then all of this will be forgotten, and fans will be glad he stayed. But if he struggles like he did at times last season, there's bound to be some regret about not cashing in when they had the chance. So as the clock ticks down, it's a bit of a gamble for Rangers. They'll be hoping Dezers can deliver on the pitch, but there's no denying that missing out on those millions could limit their options in the final days of the transfer window. Let's see how it all plays out.